Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of WireMod Essentials. This episode is slightly different in that we won't be building anything in specific. Instead, I will teach you the functions of the TargetFinder for reference in future tutorials. Now, you may think that you already know everything there is to know about the TargetFinder. Now, this may be true, but for those who don't, let me show you some things. First off, let's pull out the TargetFinder and explain two useful modes. The first mode, with the maximum range set to 9,999,999 and max bogeys to 30, will enable you to scroll through different targets. And the second mode, with a maximum range and max bogeys set to 1, will track anybody that comes too close. Okay, let's place a target finder. Now the target finder is useless alone, so we need a device to gather the values. It stores within it information of the entity it's tracking, such as distance, speed, and position on the map. To gather this information, let's get out the beacon sensor. The beacon sensor can be configured to receive any number of values, shown in the checkboxes to the right. Select the values that you wish to receive and place the beacon sensor. Alright, now, let's wire the beacon sensor to the target finder. What we're going to be wiring to is what I like to call a dynamic value. It may seem that it's outputting a normal number because it says output 1, but in fact, 1 is a dynamic value which holds many different values within itself, such as distance and position. I have set my beacon sensor to output both of those values. Now I'm going to wire this light here so that it'll turn on when I'm within range. Okay, let's test it. I'm out of range, so the light turned off. I'm going to go back in range and turn the light back on. Like so. Okay, now to demonstrate the selective target function, let's move to multiplayer. Welcome to the Gecko build server. Now the first thing I'm going to do is place a target finder with the other setting scheme, the one with over 9 million range. This will enable us to scroll through targets that are held and chosen from, sort of like a player array in E2. Maximum range 9,999,999 and maximum bogeys 30 to achieve this. Now, you can always use, instead of using a beacon sensor, nice flying. Instead of using a beacon sensor, you can place entity chips. Entity chips are very special gates that output a physical entity's data, instead of just outputting numbers. So what I'm going to place is an entity position chip, which will track the position of the entity, and an entity name chip, which will give us the name of the player. The entity name outputs in a string, and the entity position outputs in a vector. Now, all we need to do is wire these entity gates to the target finder so they'll pull the information from the dynamic value. But you will not wire them to 1. You'll wire them to 1_entity, because the target finder has two outputs, a normal output and an entity output, for use with entity chips. Okay, now as you can see, it's tracking my position, and there's my name. Now to view the names easier, the best thing to do is place a text screen. And then wire string from the text screen to the entity name chip. And there you go. There's my name displayed on the screen. Don't ask me to pronounce it. Okay, now as you can see, as I move, the position chip changes its coordinates in real time. So, it's very accurate and always correct. Now, to achieve the other function, what we're going to do is we're going to use the next target function, which is a function built into the target finder, which allows us to switch the target which is tracking. To do this, let's place a button. Non-toggle 1, 0. 1 on, 0 off. Place it anywhere on the board. Right there is fine. And then wire 1 hyphen next target from the TargetFinder to the button. And there you go. Now, as you can see, as I press the button, it scrolls to the different players on the server. Hey Steve, why don't you come over here? Now, as Steve is going to demonstrate, he's going to stand right there for me, that if the paint target function is on, which it isn't, he will become red when he is selected. But he won't, since I don't have that option on. But he is being targeted right now. It is taking his data and displaying his name. Thank you, Steve. Well, that rounds it up for this tutorial. In the next 3 episodes, we will apply what we've learned here to make a teleporting jail, a sentry gun, and an auto-homing missile. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.